G'day chaps, 'tis I, Clown Puncher 139. I am back with a subject very dear to my heart, as seen as my top 20 favorite games of all time list. My number 5 favorite game of all time, Undertale. During the description of that entry, I tried my best not to go into spoiler for the game. However, in this list, as you can see by the title, I'm counting down my top 10 favorite bosses in Undertale. I will be judging these fights on multiple terms. Firstly, the story impact. Second, the boss itself. And third, how the boss affected my experience with Undertale. And I'm gonna do it now. Spoiler alert! I will basically spoil the entire plot of Undertale in this video. So, if you haven't played it yet, go to Steam, buy it, it's only about $10, play it through as many times as you can, and then eventually come back here. Back yet? Good. So let's get started with number 10. The first boss on this list, fittingly enough, is the first boss in the game. Tutorial is the definition of a first boss. Heck, her name is a pun on tutorial. She's generally very easy, even to newcomers, and you really shouldn't have any problem with beating her. And like everybody else's first playthrough, I didn't want to kill Toriel. However, again, like most everyone, I inevitably did. Afterwards, I felt awful. Think about it. You are fighting your mother, who doesn't want to let you go. By fighting you, she is protecting you, even if she does inevitably kill you sometimes. This fight is obviously lower on the list because you can't die. Toriel will purposely miss her attacks so that you can't die. Even though for some reason, my second time through, I did die. Don't ask how, because I don't know. And let's not forget the following encounter with Flowey. That is forever ingrained in my mind for every playthrough I've done. This is the fight that showed you that Undertale is truly unlike any RPG. And that's why it's all the way up at number 10. Number 9. At number 9, we have arguably the funniest mini-boss in the entire game. Me. The Mad Dummy isn't really threatening, but he is so entertaining. Tell me you didn't laugh your buttocks off the first time you fought him. This is one of the few fights in the game that isn't ultimately resolved by sparing or killing him. Instead, you have to stall for time until Natsu can come and save you. What's better, or worse, depending on how you put it, is that you can't even hurt him. Instead, you have to make his own attacks hit him. His attacks start off normal, not very hard, like most bosses, but eventually they just get funnier and harder to dodge. After hitting him enough, he'll fire his fluff shooting dummies, hire robot replacements, fire them, and then throw a knife at you. It's hilarious. This fight does lose points, however, because there is no real story impact. He just kind of comes right out of nowhere to fight you. But don't get me wrong, it's still funny, which is why it's on this list. But the lack of any kind of story impact is what keeps it from getting any higher. Number 8. Number 8 is one of the later bosses in the game. Muffet is a pretty difficult boss if you can't catch on to the mechanics quickly. Muffet, ironically enough, starts out like most bosses, not mini-bosses. There's a difference. The difference being that she changes your soul. Now, with the power of the purple soul, your free-range movement in your tiny box is limited to 3 horizontal lines. This change-up, although short and only for this fight, is brilliant, and it is so much fun. Muffet's attacks mostly consist of spiders, bagels / donuts, croissants, and... Did I read that right? A giant spider muffin. Huh. The attacks alone, especially the aforementioned spider muffin, are just brilliant. Much like the last fight with the Mad Dummy, this fight does lose points for the lack of any kind of story impact. It's just kind of filler that could be taken out and not affect the story in any way at all. Also, this boss can be skipped entirely. If you kept the spider bake sale items from the ruins, you can use them in this fight to skip it entirely. So points are obviously lost there, but the fun factor alone jumps it right back up. Number 7. Okay, I may be cheating with this choice, since it's not one mini-boss, but 5. The Amalgamates, the scariest mini-bosses in the game. The Amalgamates make it here on all the way up at number 7 just for flat out making no sense. Monsters previously fought throughout the game have been melted together to make these. There goes this game's PG rating. Or was it ever there? The first time I saw these, I was just thinking, what happened? What are these things? What did Alphys do? All these questions are more or less answered. Not, however, until you actually face the Amalgamates. You must make them remember their past lives by talking to them, ironically enough. Just say/do things that are familiar to them, and then they disappear? Where do they go? These fights range from terrifying to, ironically, hilarious to just downright heartbreaking. They also have good impact on the story, which is what makes them a little bit higher than these previous fights. Plus, they reunite with their families at the end of the True Passage route, which is a good wrap-up. The reason that they aren't any higher is because the fights themselves, while they can be difficult, aren't the most fun. So, they still get up there, but not too much. Number 6. Before I did my first genocide route, this spot would have gone to the normal Undyne fight, which already was pretty fun. Using the green soul to block spears was really an awesome time. Then I actually played a genocide route, and fought Undyne the Undying. This fight is hard. It is the Undyne fight, but, you know, much, much harder. There are a lot more spears than before, and that's saying something. There are probably more spears in this fight than bones in Papyrus's fight. And all those spears do major damage. Even with the Dusty Tutu, you're gonna take a lot of damage in this fight. Most of them, depending on which ones they are, can deal up to 12 damage. And considering you either have 60 or 64 health, you are dead in 5 hits. And yet, when you beat it, it is so satisfying. Here's a video of the first time I beat this fight.
Yes! Yes. Oh my god. I finally did. Oh my god. Thank you. My heart is pounding out of my chest right now. My hands are still shaking. Goodbye, Undyne. Finally. You can see this is me. I didn't just watch a video about this. Here's my mouth. Oh my god. That was like my 11th attempt. Finally.
And even with how much rage this fight did cause me, I had a ton of fun. And it only took me about 11 or 12 tries, which, considering some of the later bosses down the list, hint hint, is pretty generous. Number 5. Undertale is a game pretty fond of breaking its own rules, with 2 bosses later on down the list breaking rules beyond comprehension. However, few things can compare to the first time and your fight with Papyrus. Throughout Snowden, Sans warns you of Papyrus's blue attack. Now your initial thought would be the dog guards you fought in the forest. They all had blue attacks that didn't take much skill to learn. So when you start Papyrus's fight, it's less than stellar. It's just bones at the bottom of the box that don't come anywhere near hitting your soul. And the music, while good, is just nyah, aka Papyrus's overworld theme. Now don't get me wrong, I love that song, but not quite as much as what happens later. And then, after deciding not to fight, or fighting him, he announces his blue attack. And yeah, Papyrus does use the blue attack, but to a different extent. What?! I am 110% sure that was everyone's reaction to this. And then... Bone Trousel. Yes. Really quickly, imagine if we actually had to fight Papyrus while listening to Nyeh the whole time. Just try to imagine that. This makes the game forego its usual bullet hell and turns it into a platformer. And I love platformers. And Papyrus is doing his job pretty well at being so hilarious. Dabbing things behind his ear, of which he doesn't have any, trying not to think of your date as best as possible, and having his special attack stolen by a dog. And then there's his really cool regular attack, which does hold up to its name. This is just Papyrus's personality manifested into a fight. This is the moment I truly started to love Undertale, and I realized this is a game I wasn't going to be forgetting anytime soon. Number 4. Throughout Hotland, you are confronted by the hilarious TV show host Mettaton. When you reach the end of the core, you know you'll fight him, it's kind of obvious, but if you remember from your earlier encounters, you can't hurt him. So when Alphys calls and has you flip his switch, it's interesting to say the least. Oh my god, he's hot! I mean, look at those legs! Oh, and the fight is pretty cool too, I guess. In this fight, you have the power of the Yellow Soul, which turns the bullet hell into a top-down shooter. With your pea shooter, as Mettaton calls it, you can destroy almost everything that he throws at you. Including, but not limited to, boxes, bombs, miniature clones of himself, and his own legs. Did I read that right? His own legs. Huh. And the rating system required to spare Mettaton during a pacifist route is both hilarious and very unique. Everything you do, from posing to healing, increases the ratings. And let's not forget the essay toward the beginning of the fight. Just say legs, he goes crazy for that. Oh, Mettaton, no, I wasn't telling them the answer to your essay. What? No, don't fire me, please! Please! Number 3. Don't worry, I did not forget about the true pacifist boss. Asriel Dreamer is an amazing boss. Everything about it is just plain epic. To the reunion of you and your friends, to the reveal of Flowey capturing those said friends, to the reveal of Flowey being Asriel the entire time. Everything is here for the story. And the fight itself is something on a whole other level. It starts off, surprisingly enough, like Toriel's fight, in that there are a couple of fireballs that are really easy to avoid. But then, the music picks up. Oh my god! I didn't remember taking acid today, but that's the only explanation for what I'm seeing. Asriel's attacks go from 1 to 11 in a matter of seconds. They go from teeny tiny fireballs to rainbow-colored lightning bolts and exploding stars. What is even happening? And this is Asriel only using a fraction of his real power. After his whole resetting monologue, he'll use his Hypergoner, which is kind of just a Gaster Blaster, except it sucks instead of shoots. And then he uses his ultimate attack. Super Stretchy Fat Man, engage! Wait, that's not it? That's not it? Oh wait, what does he become? Oh. Okay, so he becomes the God of Hyperdeath. What a title. This is where it ends. Your friends need you now more than ever. Toriel, Asgore, Undyne, Alphys, Papyrus, even Sans need your help now. You have to save them. As such, you have to fight your friends again to make them remember you. But then, after saving all 6 of them, you have to save someone else. You need to save Azrael before he is lost forever. From this, you get arguably the most heartbreaking scene in the game. My jaw hit the floor so hard it reached the underground and said hi to Sans. I was really close to crying. And then you're treated to some of the most satisfying credits in gaming. This fight would be number 2, if not for 2 fatal flaws. A, you can't lose. No matter how many things hit you, your soul refuses to break. So obviously the stakes are lost in this fight. Also, in my opinion at least, the second phase is not quite as good as the first. Even though it means a lot more in terms of story, it's not quite as good as a boss fight. Azrael's first phase has really cool and crazy attacks that look amazing and can do a lot. The second phase is just some fancy fireballs. And when you're saving your friends, their attacks are really easy. Much easier than their original fights, to be honest. If not for these very small, minuscule flaws, Azrael Dreamer would be number 2. However, these problems are so small that I can't deny him 3rd place. Number 2. Before I fought this boss, it was at number 5 on this list. Then I did my first genocide run and fought the other Skelebro. I certainly had a bad time. Sans definitely doesn't waste time getting to the point. Well, he does the first time, but that's besides the point. And then you face the terror that is his first attack. Well, that was fast. Wait. He's the easiest enemy in the game? That's only 1 attack out of at least 20? I'm gonna have a bad time, aren't I? Sans is unlike any other boss in the entire game, aside from number 1. His check option doesn't lie. His attacks only do 1 damage, and he does go down in 1 hit. You just have to hit him. Despite being the laziest character in the game, he has incredible speed and dodging capabilities, meaning that he will dodge every time you attack. But attacking him is the only way to progress the fight. You can't just sit and heal the entire time. You need to tire him out until he sleeps, and the reason you take so much damage is because of a little thing Sans has called Karmic Retribution. This one teeny tiny detail takes away your invincibility frames, meaning every single frame that one of Sans' attacks hurt you, you take 1 point of damage. And since the game runs at 30 FPS, if you stay on one of Sans' attack for 1 second, you take 30 damage. And out of your 92 health, that's gonna add up pretty quickly. Even worse is that Sans can inflict poison damage on you. So in the end, you end up taking even more damage for no reason. And what's even worse than that is that halfway through the fight, he will attack you in your menu. Luckily, those attacks can't kill you. That doesn't excuse the fact that this fight breaks the 4th wall beyond repair. And let's not forget the meme behind this fight. I knew about it going in, and so I didn't spare Sans, let alone get dunked on. Sorry. And all of this without mentioning his actual attacks. One good thing I can say is that his attacks are all very discernible from each other. As such, you can make strategies for each one since the order never changes. But that doesn't make this fight take less than 30 attempts your first time through. With each boss, you'll probably find 1 or 2 attacks that are pretty hard to dodge. With Sans, it's the exact opposite. You'll find 1 or 2 attacks that are easy to dodge. You will fail again and again and again and again. I remember when I first fought him. It was a calm Saturday afternoon. Almost half my playthrough time of the genocide run was dedicated to beating Sans. I was getting mad, obviously, but I was still learning. On at least 7 different occasions, I got to his final attack with the spinning Gaster Blasters, with over 30 health no less, and would die right before they ended. I yelled so loud at one point that my family dropped everything that they were doing and came in to see if something was wrong. Yes, something was wrong. I died. And that's not to say I didn't even rage at the other attacks I died in. I died a lot. After each time that I died unintentionally, my hands were shaking and my heart was beating from the adrenaline rush. I wanted to win so badly. I just couldn't. Until...
Oh my god! Oh my god! I did it! I beat Sans. Oh my god. Here's my mouse. I did it. So, I'm not doing a video. Oh my god. I finally beat Sans. Holy. Let's just play through this. I'm so happy. My heart is beating out of my chest right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. My heart is beating so much right now. I'm so happy right now. You're wrong, Sans. I beat you fair and square after well over 25 attempts, probably 30 at this point. I have earned this. Except little monologue, Sans. I know what I am. Now fall asleep, because I know that's what you do. No thank you, Sans. Yes, fall asleep. Come on, you know you want to. My hands are shaking so much. Still. You can see by the way my phone is shaking. Almost. Just fall asleep already. There you go. For these, just in case. There we go. Alright. Sorry, buddy. You're my favorite character, but I worked so hard for this. You're not gonna take it away from me. Bye, Sans. It's been fun. I know you warned me, Sans, but I chose to do this. Really just so I could fight you and see how bad it was. Alright, enjoy Groobies. I'm sorry, Papyrus. Goodbye, Sans. And there we go, guys. That is my first time beating Sans. I'm very happy but very sad because now I'm gonna have to do a bunch of stuff to reset my computer after this. To reset Undertale so I can play it again.
It was so satisfying. I have never felt more accomplished as a gamer. This is the hardest boss fight I have ever fought, and certainly the hardest in Undertale. That's not to say this fight isn't extremely fun to play. Boot up almost any modern game and find a difficult boss for me. The Dark Souls series does not count. Yeah. So in my opinion, it was refreshing to see a boss fight that actually made me want to pull my eyes out of my sockets. For how difficult it was, I was having a blast. Every time I died, I got to fight him again, and despite the rage, it was so much fun. Plus, more than half this fight is with the Blue Soul, which is my favorite soul modifier. And again, all of this without mentioning the story impact. We all pretty much know what it is, right? Sans is trying to get revenge on us for the genocide of his people. More specifically, his brother. Right? Well, yes, but there's a little bit more to it. We know, supposedly know at least, that Sans knows pretty much everything there is to know about the timelines of the game. He knows that by letting you pass, you will have completed your genocide and the worst ending in the game, thereby erasing the world that they lived in, never being able to reset the timeline. Which means you won't ever be able to get the true pacifist ending ever again. By stopping you, he has a chance to save everything. He isn't trying to help Frisk/Chara, whichever one you want to be, but you, the player. This subtle detail is so amazing, and it makes Sans an even deeper character than he already was. This fight has everything. Great story impact, a great boss, just everything so perfect. So why isn't it number one? Well, I will tell you right now. And now, number one. You know, even taking a neutral run in Undertale can be pretty good. Nowhere near as good as the pacifist run, but still enjoyable. And the final bosses of every neutral run and everybody's first run are the best they could possibly be. I don't even know if that sentence makes sense. I'll find out in post. Asgore Dreamer, the king of monsters and the final boss of the neutral run. He's built up as a number of things, mostly a fuzzy pushover. And when you enter his throne room... Huh? He's not even sitting on his throne. He's watering flowers? He offers you a cup of tea? And he doesn't even demand that you fight him right then and there. What kind of king is this? Isn't he supposed to be evil? And then when you reach the barrier, he just lets you leave if you have unfinished business. What? And then the fight starts. He destroys your mercy button! No. No. You can't spare him? His attacks mainly consist of fireballs, but that giant trident that he used to destroy your button isn't just for show. He will mess you up with that thing. Some of the attacks can actually be pretty hard to dodge if you aren't good. And the fight itself is just sad. He doesn't look at you at all throughout the fight. He knows that he has to do this, but he doesn't want to. He has hurt so many, so he doesn't deserve mercy. And then the music, at about the halfway mark, paints this as just a tragedy. It is sad. You know you have to kill Asgore to escape the underground, but you most likely can't bring yourself to do it. Even my first run, where I barely spared anyone, I didn't want to kill him, but I did. Enter Flowey. That freaking bastard! He kills Asgore right in front of you and takes the 6 human souls. Then Evil F, and he crashes your game. Hope it's saved. When this happened, my heart was beating through my chest. I was losing it. I thought that was the end of the game. I thought it was over. I was just about to call it quits and say goodnight. But then just to make sure, I booted up the game again. Everything seemed normal. Then Flowey screws with everything. He screws up the intro screen, then his save file, where he has infinite level, infinite time, and it's his world. And the tiny detail of the name of the tab going absolutely crazy is just incredible. You're then thrown into this dark labyrinth where you have to go up until you find a save point. Then he destroys your save file. Flowey, you sick bastard. You get a monologue, Flowey calls you an idiot, and then... If this image with that laugh didn't make you say WTF or AH! Before anything else, then consider me amazed. Just look at this thing. We forego the 16-bit art style that we all love in favor of this Photoshop abomination. Omega Flowey's appearance alone was enough to make it on this list, but the fight is something else. Flowey's attacks are pretty much on par with Sans in terms of avoidance, meaning you almost can't avoid all of them. If you didn't lose at least once your first time fighting him, you are a god at Undertale. It is nearly impossible to avoid damage in this fight. Because this fight takes the term bullet hell a little bit too literally, Toby. You will die multiple times your first time through, and every time you do, Flowey taunts you again and then crashes your game again. This fight completely annihilates the fourth wall. It takes what Sans did, turned it up to 11, and then just completely destroyed it. About halfway through the fight, Flowey starts making small temporary save files. If you end up avoiding one of his attacks somehow, he'll reload the file and try to hit you again. This fight would be impossible, since you can only deal 1 point of damage each attack. But the human souls revolt against Flowey and help you. Every, I want to say 30 seconds, a warning will come up on Flowey's TV head thing, I don't know what it is. Afterwards, you'll play a little mini-game where you call on the souls for help. After all 6 souls, they band together to heal you and drop Flowey's defenses to 0. Now you can attack. The music also shifts from horrifying and completely hectic to what I can only describe as determination. Flowey's attacks at least start off less hectic, which gives you time to attack, until the music picks up. From there, it is an all-out brawl. Flowey is throwing everything at you that he didn't before, but the souls are helping you by throwing you health every couple of seconds, and each hit does progressively more damage as you hit him more and more. And then the final hit. Yes! 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 Die, Flowey, die! Mother... Flowey then kills you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until he gets bored of it and decides to monologue again. And the souls finally help once again to deprive Flowey of his powers. And then, you're still left with a choice. Will you kill Flowey and take your well-deserved revenge, or will you spare him? If you spare Flowey, you are given one of his most sincere moments, and that is saying something, where he almost starts to cry because he can't understand you and how you're working. And then, you get the ending you probably didn't want. You can't make me pick between these 2 bosses. They are number 1, do not quote the meme. No questions asked. Everything is present. The fight, the story, the impact, the music, the final impact on my first Undertale experience. Everything is here, and I absolutely love it. Well, thanks for watching, chaps. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, please be sure to hit the like button like Joker's face in a good old Batman movie, and subscribe for more content like this in the future. In the meantime, chaps, remember, I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Clown Puncher 139. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, chaps. Joker!